Hello and welcome back to Out of Spec. It is freezing cold out here, actually well below freezing. So naturally, I'm going camping.
This video is brought to you by Iona, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Iona is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. This video is also brought to you by Eaton. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware, and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI.
So this week has actually not yet gotten above freezing or 0 degrees Celsius. And because I'm crazy, I actually wanted to try camping in this temperature. Camp mode is not new, by the way. It's been out in Teslas since 2019 with a software update back in that time. And I have actually done it multiple times in a Model Y, but always in, relatively chilly temperatures. It is Colorado and there are mountains that get nice and cold. But I've never done like a true test, like a baseline of okay, how much energy is actually being used? What is the experience? How accurate is the internal temperature reading versus the external temperature reading? I have thermometers, I have equipment, I have a cold car, I'm cold, and I have a cold atmosphere in which to test this out. So I hope you're ready to join me on an experience camping in the Model 3.
I want to say a huge thank you to Climate Exchange for sponsoring this Out of Spec video. Guys, they are running their 9th EV giveaway raffle. And of course, we've been telling you about it over the last few months. We have entered the last month of the raffle. On February 26th, it is the last day where they are going to be selling tickets. At February 28th, they will be doing the drawing, which means you have to go in and get your tickets now. What will you get if you win? Well, if you win, they are giving away $120,000 worth of EV. That means you can choose a Rivian, a Cybertruck, a Model S Plaid, the list goes on. And they are of course including all taxes and fees for the winning prize. There's also a second and third place winner. The second place winner will get $12,500 towards whatever they want, really, cash prize, and $7,500 for the third place winner. For those of you who don't know, Climate Exchange is a non-profit helping states pass laws to fight climate change. They've sold well over half of the 5,000 tickets available, so don't miss out. So again, thank you to Climate Exchange for sponsoring this video. All you have to do is head to carbonraffle.org/outofspec.
The premise is really quite simple. This is my 2025 Model 3 rear-wheel drive long range, so it has great range. It has, of course, the heat pump, all the necessary nice things for cold weather, currently equipped on Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5 snow tires, which have been really, really good in the winter, even in the snow, even though I'm only two-wheel drive. Tesla has really quite good traction control. But I am going to take this up into the mountains and actually try camping. I'm curious to see how much energy I actually lose overnight with the disparity of inside to outside being upwards of 60 degrees. I should see lows in the low teens tonight, and then inside the car, I'm going to keep it hopefully at a balmy 69, maybe 70 if I'm feeling less nice. But either way, I'm excited to try camping in this thing. I have a mattress, not actually the one made for this car, but it should work just fine. And I have never actually tried camping in a Model 3. So it'll be a new experience for me. I've obviously done camp mode in a Model 3 before, but other cars also have camp mode, notably Rivian. VinFast does as well. Hopefully, Francie can maybe try that out and make us a video. But I'm hoping other cars do bring camp mode into existence. Teslas, Rivians, VinFast also have dog mode. It's wild how many cars don't have an easy, convenient climate keep function. I also am going to talk about how camp mode works with the app controls. What are you limited to versus what can you do? What are the benefits? What is it missing? There's a lot to get into with this video, more than I expected as I started planning it. So hope you're ready to join me on an adventure. Before my hands freeze, I'm gonna get the car loaded up and then gonna let the sun dip a little bit and let it get a little bit colder, and then I'll head up into the mountains. Starting with 80% state of charge. We'll see what we get to when we get up there, and we'll see what we burn overnight. so pretty much all packed. If you're able to make your bed before you get out there, especially if it's going to be really cold, that way you're not like fidgeting inside a car trying to finagle a space to essentially live for the night. So I have this tri-fold mattress. It's about 2/3 width, I guess, maybe. Definitely not wide enough for two people, but for one person, it works pretty well. You can definitely see that the gap would fit, you know, a bigger mattress. There are special mattresses made for the Model 3 and Model Y. Of course, every Tesla has their own specific dimensions, but this mattress has worked for me before. I actually used this in the Lucid car camping video. So that's how that's set up, which means along this side, I have a huge battery bank, which also doubles as a big working light, flashlight thing. You can still use the car USB ports and stuff while camp mode is on, but it's just nice to have that battery bank just in case. Also have some clothing, some snacks. Yeah, it's looking like it'll be pretty hazy up there tonight, and I wouldn't make it to the campsite by nightfall even if I tried right now. So hoping to wake up to a gorgeous area. We'll see. Unfortunately, this does not have the fancy feature of the new Model Y where when you fold the rear seats down, the front seat moves accordingly. So I had to finagle myself to get up there, lower that seat so I could lower this seat. I'll have to do that over there for the cushion. Basically, once I actually sleep, I'll move the passenger seat up so that that cushion can fall all the way back, and then I'll have a nice flat area. But it does look like it'll be big enough for me, which is nice. I'm 6 foot, but still works. So yeah, you can also store things in the sub trunk and also the frunk. So if you are really tight on space, those are definitely additional places you can put stuff while you're car camping. That could be really nice. The only challenge is they're not accessible while you're laying inside the car. I mean, maybe you could get to the sub trunk, but not likely. So those are externally accessible things, which I'm going to try to avoid using while we're out in the wilderness. All right, now a couple hours later, the battery is just dipped from 80 to 79%. So I'm leaving my house at just a hair under 80. And I'll be driving up into the mountains a little bit to near Netherland. At least that's the plan. I have a spot picked out that advertises as, you know, free camping. That's not uncommon here in Colorado. So I'll try that out. Otherwise, I have some backup ideas, but really this is just an adventure for the sake of science. Science meaning I'm going to scan my Tesla to really figure out exactly what my state of charge and all the stats are right when I get there and officially start the camping, and then also see how accurate the actual thermometer and everything is. So I have a few thermometers here that measure humidity and temperature. I'm hoping to put some, maybe 2 different places in the car, and check them throughout the night, and just to see really how accurate the interior temperature sensor is compared to what the actual temperature in the car is. What's really funny is these even have a smiley face, or in this case, a not super happy face. It's a little cold and a little dry, so the little dude is not super thrilled. So hopefully we can get that into a smiley face if we get up there. So without further ado, let's start the drive, let's start the science. I'm gonna try a time lapse. No idea if this will work. Trying a new camera here as well. This is all a fun experiment, and I appreciate you guys joining me along for the ride. Let's head out. I did find a campsite. Unfortunately, the exact campsite is actually blocked because there's a gate that apparently closes during the winter. Makes sense. Not many people are camping right now. So I am camped right next to the gate. Hopefully I don't get in trouble. If I do, I'll tell the authorities I'm doing this for science and learning what's safe, and I don't know, I'll make something up. Anyways, yeah, it's actually a bit interestingly warmer here. It's about 24 degrees outside according to the car. I will of course test that with a handy thermometer, and we'll see how it looks. So this is kind of a winter baseline. I still would like to do a car camping video when it's like -10 Fahrenheit, and then also of course do one when it's pretty normal temperatures outside, like maybe a balmy 60 degrees overnight, just to kind of gauge how hard the car has to work to keep the cabin at the optimal temperature. I'm also going to figure out what the optimal temperature really is for me. Of course, it may vary by person, and if you have 2 people, that could be interesting too. So more testing to do, obviously, of course, but I'm excited to see how this works. So let's get camp mode turned on. So here is the display, and it's really quite easy to enable camp mode. Going in here to the temperature, keep, dog, and camp. They all do similar things, but they have slight variations in functionality. If I do keep, it will stay on until the car battery reaches 20%. Dog mode, I don't actually know if there's a lower limit on what is allowed for that as far as percentage. And then there is camp mode. The camp also stays on until 20%. Sentry mode, security alarm, walkaway lock, those will all be disabled. It also retains whatever type of settings you may have for lighting. It lets you watch content. It keeps the screen up basically. And then you also have the USB ports are enabled still, the 12 volt accessory port, and I guess the ambient light strips. So one thing that may be good to suggest is to create another driver profile that is actually titled camp. Like if this is a frequent thing you do, that's probably worth doing. Having a camp mode that maybe turns off whatever light strips you don't want. Maybe your camp user also moves the seats all the way forward. There's a lot of things you could put in there if you wanted it that way, but I'm just going to keep it on my profile for now. I do not regularly camp, and I can make whatever adjustments I need and then revert them back later. Then there is the Tesla app, which lets me monitor camp mode. It shows that camp mode is active. Here we go, climate, active, camp. I'm going to have it set to 72 degrees and I'll adjust as necessary. But it just says, yeah, camp mode. I can also turn on the heated seats, of course. It's basically your normal climate setting, but here you can see the camp mode versus dog mode. Really trying to show you guys, but the camera doesn't seem to be picking up on what I wanted to pick up on. It's like exposing for everything else, not the phone itself, but you kind of get the picture. So we will see if that works for us, but anyways, that's pretty easy. While doing camp mode, you may of course want to bring up your toy box and turn on romance mode, which changes the ambient lighting to, holy crap. Also turns on music extremely loud. And yeah, it turns on the ambient lighting to orange, makes it very hot in here, and turns the fire on. I'm gonna go back to just camp mode. I don't really need that. And that's pretty much it. So my plan, I think, I'm actually going to do some work. I'm going to make this a productive session as well. So doing some editing in the passenger seat. Can't wait till there's a day where I can like fold the steering wheel away, because it does make working in the driver's seat kind of hard. So I've definitely hopped to the passenger seat in mini superchargers to get some work done. Or I guess you could do the back seat in normal cases, but not here because I am currently getting ready to camp out. Then when I'm ready to actually hit the hay, I will move this seat forward so that that can actually lay down, and it'll basically lay just about flat, which is pretty nice. There's a bit of a rake to the Model 3, like right here, it's a bit higher than at the very back of the trunk, but I actually backed myself up on a little bit of a hill, which means I should be close to level when actually laying down. Whereas right now, I'm actually sitting looking, I guess, ever so slightly down. So that's it. Let's also check on the thermometers and see how accurate those are. I'll probably put one maybe right next to where I'm sleeping, as well as somewhere up here. And then I'll try to put one possibly on the roof just to get that external temperature reading. All right, so the thermometer down there is showing 64 degrees at the moment. It has climbed a bit, and these have a 10-second response, so we'll see if that does climb any more. And then I also have one up in the window. We'll see. I'll look at that in a second here, but I wanted to show you guys the stats. So I parked at pretty much right at 8 o'clock p.m. It's saying 237 miles of range. I'm in the Scan My Tesla app, by the way. And the remaining capacity of 53.7 kilowatt hours. Usable of 50.1 kilowatt hours. So nearly around 50 on usable. We'll check on these stats again in the morning. Then we have the, let's see, high voltage battery is sitting at 374 volts, And the power consumption, I don't know if you can see that, probably not, because this camera just can't do it, is hovering between 1.5 to 2 kilowatts, just depending on what's happening. So I'm going to keep an eye on that too whenever I think of it, just to see if that's the constant draw. But assuming that's true, hanging out here for roughly 10 hours. I'm thinking I'll be here at least till 6 a.m. That'll give us a nice round number to see if we really do burn 20 kilowatt hours, or maybe 15. It just depends if that power consumption stays accurate. I also have the Sexy Buttons app here just to check on my temperature really quick. I don't want to throw it in service mode at the moment because all I want to know is the battery temperature in Celsius, which is 14.3 degrees. And that is from obviously driving up here. The rear motor is 22 degrees Celsius. So that's probably pretty normal for right now, being this cold outside, but after some fresh driving. For some background, I DC fast charged it this morning, but actually that we're basically running off a relatively cold battery. I didn't like DC fast charge it and then come straight here, which is technically a way that some people could have done it, but I felt like this was relatively normal of just, quote unquote, leaving your house and then driving somewhere to camp. Whether or not the battery is truly optimized for temperature, I'm just kind of running with a normal, just having driven battery. There we go. Now we're talking. This is the screen that I have wanted to be pulled up before, and I couldn't remember how. I don't know where you find it. It wasn't in Toolbox or Toy Box or anything like that. And here it is, just pulled up by itself after sitting here for about 45 minutes. So I don't know if it's a timer-based thing, but I guess checking in, it has been about 45 minutes. This thermometer actually says 75 degrees measured in here, whereas I still have it set at 72. And then this thermometer up here, let's see if we can see that, that's at 68. So the average between the two is actually about 72. So I'm kind of measuring a couple different places in the car, and the one outside is just ambient temperature. But yeah, love to see this screen. This is one of the coziest scenes I've ever seen, and that's saying something because Rivian also has pretty cozy screens, but this feels like hyper realistic CGI, whereas Rivian's is like, its own Epic Games or Epic Unreal Engine type animation. So this guy down here is actually saying 77 degrees, and I guess that's making the guy a little happy face, not super happy, probably because of the humidity, if I had to guess. Then this one that I've kept up here is about 70. So, also not the happiest person. It's funny, I'm curious what would make it happy. I'm guessing it's like 50 to 60% humidity. So between those two, it averages out to, low 70s. So either way, 70 camp mode, that's probably about what I'll try to keep it at. But once I get nestled into the bed, I can't even see back there, in the sleeping bag, I'll readjust if I need to, and I'll see what I have access to on the rear screen, and as well as the camp mode settings in the app. Settled into bed here. The back half, the parcel shelf of the Model 3 is at 56 degrees, whereas the front is 73. And if we can zoom in outside there, 21 degrees Fahrenheit. A bit more humid outside, a bit dry in here, showing, I guess 26% humidity up here, but 18% up in the front of the cabin. So, yeah, there's the camp mode screen that is switched to the black. Of course, it shows the fingerprints as well, but yeah, I'm effectively settled in here. I've got my big box that could power things, but I don't need to use it because I'm actually just powering everything off these USB ports back here, which is really convenient. I'm glad that those stay on. And got some snacks that I haven't even dove into yet. This Cheetos bag is really stuffed. We're up here at about 9,000 feet elevation right now, so chip bags are completely about to pop. You can see where all my baggage is just stuffed along the side here. It is nice that this parcel shelf is not super low. I've actually realized that this is maybe an inch higher than the parcel shelf of the Lucid. Yes, for some reason I've car camped in a Lucid. And that was a really narrow gap with the seats laid down. So this is nice to have a little bit more space. I can even rotate on my side and not hit it, which is crazy given that this is like a 5-inch, 6-inch thick mattress. I think the actual like other Tesla mattresses made for the cars are even a bit thinner, which would be nice. So that's that. And then the parcel shelf, as you can see, is angled up pretty drastically. Part of that's because I am actually reversed onto just a little bit of an incline, which allows me to sleep flat. But unfortunately, that means the parcel shelf is about useless. Normally, it'd be nice to put things on here, but I just can't really, except for the thermometer that I stuck right on that thing. So I'll also point out that, I guess you can put glasses right here. That works. The back there where my feet are is very, very cold. I'm going to guess 50, maybe high 40s. Actually, I have a thermometer. I'll find out. Well, okay. Maybe it is about the same back there. Basically, 50s anywhere back here. So definitely noticeably cooler. Like when I was working in the front seat, I was actually getting kind of warm. Because obviously you can see up there, it's warmer than it actually says it is, which is impressive. But then back here, of course, it's much cooler. And with the way the vent is laid out back here, being so low, anything such as a mattress laying over top of it means not a lot of air is getting in through here. So you are kind of stuck with air from the front having to be pushed back into the back of the cabin. I do wonder if a little tiny fan here would be super effective in distributing it better. Maybe something to try in the future. But for now, this is it. I'm going to go to bed, and I will see what I wake up with, which will effectively be about 10 hours of camp mode. And what are we up to now? Or down to, I should say. 59%. So we've lost 6% in just under 3 hours. So I guess we're averaging about 2% per hour. So we'll see. I'm not really sure. Maybe a little over 3% per hour. So it could be as much as 20 to 30% of the battery with a cold night like this. And it's not even super cold. So definitely interested in trying this again when we have sub-zero temperatures. But for now, as a good baseline in a normal below freezing night, this will do. Bit of a pause in the middle of the night. But it's about 2 a.m. now. And this is saying 57 down there, which is to be expected, I guess. And the one that was running warm earlier is now saying 67. I just turned the car up a little bit. So I had camp mode set at 69, but that one said 67 and this one said 57. So and I turned it up because it started feeling kind of cold. So I'm hoping that helps. So I have now turned it up to 70. Might even do 71, honestly. It's feeling quite a bit chillier in here. And you can see the exterior temperature is now 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're down to 53% state of charge. So again, that is 12% down from when we parked, I guess about 6 hours ago, just under 6 hours ago. We have about 4 to 5 hours remaining of the planned camping time. So we'll see how it looks in the morning when sunrise occurs. All right, the sun is getting ready to peek over the horizon. It is 6 a.m. Checking on our little thermometers here. That one went down to 52. And the one up front saying 70. I did just, right before I started this clip, bumped it up to 72 degrees in here. The outdoor one is, what is that? 21. So that's about the ambient exterior temperature. And the stats. So we are now at 43% state of charge. Won't focus. There we go. So we burned 22% in about 10 hours. The average draw was about 1.65 kilowatts because, well, we burned 16.5 kilowatt hours in 10 hours. So that's what that math does. So the battery voltage now is about 357. The range remaining is 158 miles, I believe, down from 237 when we first showed up. And the usable capacity is now 33.6 kilowatt hours, down from the 50.1, give or take. So those are kind of the stats after the 10-hour mark. I'm still gonna let the sun come up over the horizon. I'm filming a time lapse of that, which will be nice. Oh man, that is tight. So I think if you are making car camping a serious component of your buying decision, I would maybe go with the Model Y. And having driven the new Model Y yesterday, that is like impossible to beat. But I am actually really intrigued to try the Rivian R2 when that comes out as well, because of course Rivians have camp mode and it works great. I've tested it. But the R1S is a bit too big for me, and the R1T is a not big truck, and I have slept in the cab, although I kind of regret it. But Rivian has that cool feature where you can level the camping site, so you can use the air suspension to level the truck to a limit at least. And then if you have the bed, like a tent in the back or a bed in the back of the bed of the truck, say that 5 times fast, then you're perfectly fine and perfectly even. Whereas I had to back myself up onto a little incline here to make my bed even. But here's where I ended up. Definitely got some nice mountains over there. The sun is getting ready to crest over the mountains. This road continues on, not entirely sure where, but wow, look at that over there. Definitely some snow brewing in those mountains. And oh nice, okay. So I saw that Prius drive past me last night. That was the only car that went by, and he ended up camping right there. Interesting. I saw the road was no longer plowed, and I was like, do I want to do that with 2-wheel drive? But he did it just fine, so I'm sure I would have been fine, because I have Nokia and Hakkapeliitta snow tires. This just felt like a good place for me to stop. And otherwise, no traffic, no people, very quiet out here. Yeah, so impressions. Really pretty great. It's very easy to set up and definitely enough space. I do wish there was a bit more control you had, either from the app or the rear screen or both. It's cool that they added the rear screen in this car, but you can control airflow and fan speed. I think that's just the rear fan speed. There's no way to like control the rest of the car effectively from here. You can't even do temperature setting. You can't turn the screens all off and on. You can't turn the brights or the overhead lights all off and on. You can't move the front seats forward and backward. And it would be super cool to just manually tell the car that you want that cool camp screen with the little cozy fire and tent and everything. I think that would have been like the cherry on top. So Tesla can still keep refining this. Sure, they've had camp mode for over 5 years now, but it could be even better, I think. I also wish there was a way to manually override the 20% minimum limit. I say this because I just camped overnight using barely over 20% of the battery in a very cold temperatures, and it kept the car nice and warm inside. I could have let the temperature be lower and bundled up more, and then I would have used less energy. But I just wanted to see, you know, the average temperature of car comfort as 70-ish degrees. I wish there was a way to override that, because even though it looks like I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere, I'm actually only 1 to 2% state of charge away from level 2 charger. And I am, according to the car, 3% state of charge away from a supercharger. So because of elevation, I'll be going down in elevation to get back to the city. So with that, I could have camped until 5%. I mean, maybe even 10% is a very, very big safety blanket, but that 20% seems like a lot of energy left to be reserved. So honestly, that's pretty much it. My final thoughts are, I had a blast. I really enjoyed this. 10 out of 10, I would do it again. but I also would choose a Model Y if I had the opportunity. That just has a bit more headspace, especially for sitting up in the back area with the seats folded down, a bit more room for you to move around without having to worry about the parcel shelf in your way, and especially if you have two people, it just seems like it'd be a less cramped environment. It might also use a little bit more energy because it's just a bigger cabin volume to keep at a certain temperature. So I am looking forward to hopefully camping in the new Model Y as soon as we can get our hands on that for longer than 15 minutes like my first drive. In case you want to preview the stats, once again, they're up here on the screen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of what I expected. Maybe burned a little more energy than I was thinking it would, but also it is very cold out here. The wind chill is actually making it probably in the single digits if I had to guess. So I'm freezing. I'm about to finish, I'd say pack up the car, but there's no packing up to do. It's the easiest campsite ever to break down. So I'll leave you guys there and I'm going to drive down this road. You can see a little time lapse of that at the end to get to the coffee shop, but that's all my final thoughts. I had a lot of fun. I think I would do this a lot. Actually, I do car camp a decent amount now that EVs are a thing. I've done the Lucid, I've done Rivian, I've done the Tesla. Let me know what car you'd like to see car camped in if you're genuinely curious, because sure, it's a fringe use case, but it is a use case they've engineered for, and a lot of people actually do enjoy car camping. So I'm here to test whatever you want me to test. Peace.